You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. Hey, what's going on, rookies? Welcome to episode 37 of the Upland Rookie Podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and as always, this is presented by Upland Brits. Also brought to you by Trinity Bretons, home of the Epagneul Breton. All Trinity dogs are from champion bloodlines that are field tested and family approved. For 32 years, Trinity Bretons has worked to offer you the best bred Epagneul Bretons in the country. Also brought to you by our newest sponsor, Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Inukshuk's dense formulations ensure that your pup in training and your seasoned bird dog get what they need to succeed in the field. Inukshuk works hard so your dogs can work harder. Check them out at inukshukpro.com. Also brought to you by Pointer Traditions, making the finest dog collars, bird straps, leashes, you name it, on the market today. Both my dogs are rocking custom-sized Pointer Traditions collars, and I cannot say enough about these collars. You gotta check them out for yourself. Use my promo code ROOKIE15 to save 15% off your order today at pointertraditions.com. And lastly, Gunner Kennels. I've personally used and tested every major kennel brand on the market. After months of hands-on experience, Gunner is the only kennel I'll use for my favorite bird dogs. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Hey, what's going on, guys? Here we go. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you are turning to some productive spring training, getting those puppies out there, getting them on some puppy walks. If you got a young dog, if you got an older dog, maybe you're gearing up for trial season, or just maybe you're starting to work on some stuff here in the spring. And whatever you're doing, I hope you're having fun doing it, getting out there with your dog, your family, your kids, whatever it might be, and putting some time in. Time we spend with our bird dogs is always going to be better. It's always better when you are putting some time in, putting some work in, working on personal goals. Maybe you have a goal of getting your dog ready for something or an event, or brushing up on retrieving or steadiness or whatever it might be. It's always better when we have a goal to focus on and put a plan to and see that unfold. And so whatever you're doing, hope you're having fun doing it and getting after it. So today I have a fun episode. We are chatting with Brian Conoley of Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. I've gotten so many questions about Inukshuk since I switched over a couple months ago, and I've been very excited to get Brian on the podcast and just chat nutrition, learn more about Corey Nutrition and the company behind Inukshuk, talk just about the formulas, and we get into the details, get into the weeds a little bit, just hearing more about what makes Inukshuk different, what makes it different than the other big brands out there, and how can dogs benefit from this. And so we get into things like corn. I know corn can be a kind of a controversial topic. We get into the corn category a little bit and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I hope you guys enjoy this. Whether you're on Inukshuk or not, I think you will find this episode helpful in some way, learning more about nutrition and how that fuels our dogs for the field. So one thing I wanted to get into before we jump into the interview, I was talking with a buddy online this week, and he was asking about puppy socialization, and I think it's a topic that gets is underestimated, I think, a little bit. I don't hear a ton of people talk about it, but I think I know it's a super important topic. I think we can get so used to and comfortable with thinking bird dog, bird dog, bird dog, and that's all we need to focus on from day one, which I don't think is a bad thing either. Everything comes in due time with when the puppy's ready and all that stuff. But socialization, if I can talk correctly, I think is a huge key to just how those pups are going to be citizens around your house and out in the world, and how they're going to react to things. And so I was kind of thinking through a couple thoughts of it's some of the basic things. I think socializing them too. A couple of things are going to be noise, new environments, kennels, cars, people. Now this is a range, like kids, getting them used to kids and comfortable around kids, and gentle, adults, older people, everyone in between, men, women. There's a lot of different aspects you have to think through. It's not just, I just need to socialize them to Home Depot, and I'll just take them to Home Depot and walk them around, and they'll get used to people, new environments, and check it off my list. After we do it once and we're good. No, I think it's daily. It's a daily thing when you have a young pup, to be able to socialize them well and expose them appropriately and in their time, of course, to new things. And so whether that's the kennel, when I get a pup home and the kennel's inside for the first several months, against where we're at, it's accessible, it's easy for us to get to versus the garage. It's warmer, all that stuff. So they're getting used to their kennel, and I'll feed them in their kennel. Again, socializing them, getting them comfortable with their kennel. They learn that is a comfortable, safe place where they get fed, and it's quiet, and it's cozy, and it's dark, and all the good things happen in the kennel. And beyond that, it's, we got a bunch of kids running around our house, and that's just part of our daily life. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I've done with pups and what I will continue to do with pups in the future. But getting them used to our kids, it's not, I'm going to hide the pup from my kids for a week until the pup's comfortable with me. No, from day one, they're going to be held by the kids. They're going to run around and chase the kids, and the kids are yelling, and the kids are doing their normal thing. Yeah, they're not, I'm telling them not to yell in the puppy's face, but, we're going to live our normal life, and that puppy's going to learn, again, over time, this is the volume in our house. It can be loud. But again, if the pup seems scared, then we're going to maybe take a step back, try to have everyone calm down a little bit. But we're going to live our normal life. We're not going to tiptoe, the puppy's sleeping, don't wake him up. Or, it's a dog, it's a puppy. And we have to live our normal lives as well. And then some of the other things, those dogs. So dogs is a big one. If you have other dogs in the house, if you don't have other dogs in the house, that may be a different story. But for us, besides Gage's are, we had another dog named Emma. We had a golden retriever at the time. So we had dogs in the house when we brought Gage home. And again, we're letting them experience it together. We bring the pup home. I think we kept, I'm trying to remember, I think we had Emma outside when we brought Gage inside our house for the first time, and then played with him a little bit, got him comfortable, and then brought our older dog in. And she was old. She was, 13 at the time, and she was ornery, and she hated life. So we were a little nervous on how she'd react, but she was great. Sniffed him. Again, they got to be introduced, and they were best friends. But again, we allowed them time and space, let the puppy get comfortable with the house, then brought the older dog in. Maybe that's not how you're supposed to do it. That's how we did it, and seemed to work out really well, even with an older, a little bit more ornery golden retriever. So if you don't have other dogs, again, I think you just need to set that environment up well. Be smart about that other dog you're going to introduce your pup to. If that's an aggressive, dominant dog, be careful. Maybe don't do it right away. If that dog's not living in your house and you don't know that dog's temperament really well and all that, I'd be cautious. I'd be wait a little bit. Maybe, again, I'm not saying wait 4 months. Just wait till you know your pup a little more, know the other dog a little bit more, and introduce them. Neutral ground can be good, whether it's at not a dog park. I'm saying, a park with just you and your buddy and maybe another dog or something like that. let those dogs just get to know each other a little bit. You don't want that pup to, again, the other dog gets aggressive or something happens where then that dog's like, well, crap, other dogs are terrible. They're mean. So just be smart about how you do that. Again, cars, like I'm getting my dogs used to the cars from an early age. I don't want them to be nervous with the car. I don't want them to have any bad experiences. And it's just kind of a normal thing. So, when I have a young dog, once a day or twice a day, sometimes I'd go out to the truck and let them play around in the bed of the pickup, play around in the cab, and just kind of do their thing. Give them some kibble, maybe feed them in the back of the truck one day. And again, it's positive. It's excitement. It's, I get fed in here. I get to play. I get to chase a rope or something, whatever it might be. You're kind of making like those normal things you're going to do with your older dog. Like start building it into that puppy's early stage, and that they get to experience and say, hey, this truck is good. It's fun. I don't just hop in the truck when I go to the vet and get shots and get stressed out. No, I get to hop in the truck 5 days a week. And that's kind of a normal thing now. And so it's some of those little things that you might not think about long term, but like, what are you going to be doing with your dog long term? Well, start slowly building up to those stages, or those events or areas or people or dogs to get your pup used to those. Dog parks. I really do stay away from dog parks for the first year probably of my dog's life. And even after that, even if I take Gage to a dog park now, it's before it's even open or when it's closed. And I just really dislike some other dogs I've seen there. People, it just, I don't know. We live in Colorado too, so we get some judgy people. But yeah, so dog parks I stay away from, even for injury sake. You get dogs run around and, cutting and turning and all that stuff, and I'm just like, I don't want to risk a leg injury or things like that. But then too, with a young pup, you're going to get a pack of dogs that gang up on a young pup and kind of sniff and do their thing, and like, who the heck is this young dog? So I really don't like dog parks. If you do, I mean, that's fine, that's your jam, but I stay away from, one, for injuries, and two, especially with a young dog, it's overwhelming, it's intimidating. I have brought Win, I think, twice probably to a park where there was a couple other dogs there. And I mean, it's turned out fine. She was a little younger, and then after the second time I was like, yeah, this is dumb. Just take her to an open space, let her run, do her thing with Gage, and that's where it's comfortable. So not that she was, it was just overwhelming. It was overwhelming, people, overwhelming for me, all that stuff. So use your own discretion when it comes to dog parks like that. But other than that, I mean, if you're gonna take your dog to a store, take your dog to a local feed store or a Home Depot. Again, make sure the pup's ready, I guess. I would say don't. I mean, and there's a time and place to carry your pup and hold your pup, depending on how big it is. But you let this dog learn and figure things out for itself. You can't be the sole care provider and the sole counselor for this dog, I would say. So if you're holding this dog everywhere, cuddling it everywhere, it's going to think, okay, well, I'm safe and comfortable in my owner's arms. But no, you got to let that dog learn and be bold out in society. You got to let him sniff the shelves, sniff where he's going, figure out and kind of work through some of those anxiety things. So again, there's a real fine line. I'm not saying toss your dog into a crazy environment and let him figure it out, sink or swim. I'm not saying that. But to some degree, like, you got to kind of let him work through some of those things. You want him to use his intelligence, use his brain to think through, this is new environment. How am I, the dog, how am I going to navigate through this and work my way through it and be just fine? And so you got to kind of cue in on those things and just make sure they're figuring it out for themselves versus you picking them up, cuddling them, and making sure, you're safe, you're good. So again, fine line. You have to use your own discretion on what that environment is, but you gotta let your dog be bold, figure things out for themselves, because again, you want an independent dog. You don't want a dog that is out there hunting and walking 3 feet from you because it's nervous. So again, use your discretion. But new people, all that kind of stuff. Again, do it appropriately, whether it's extended family. Let your dog get used to people. Let them hold them, play with them, give them food, water, whatever it might be. The dog's going to associate those positive interactions with those people, and it's going to become a normal part of their life, normal part of their daily rhythm. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that made sense for anyone listening. Again, I think it's puppy socialization can get appreciated or underutilized, I think, or talked about out there. And so just want to touch on that a little bit and share, again, a little bit of my own experience, what I do. I'm sure there's a million other ways to do it. I'm sure there's other deeper processes to work through that, but that's what's worked for me and my wife. So anyways, again, hope everyone's doing well. We're going to jump into the interview here. I have a series of podcasts coming out over the next several weeks that is going to be really fun. I'm really excited about a guest I have coming up here. We broke it into, I think we're going to do a three-part series on one guest I have just recorded. I have some editing to do on it. And so over the next several weeks, that's going to come out here. And I'm really proud of this work, really proud of this episode. And so I'm going to keep it under wraps for now, but you have something to look forward to, a big old 3-part episode coming your way very shortly. So anyways, guys, hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the episode. Don't forget, rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. Leave a rating and review. It is really going to help the show grow and get out there to more hunters just like you. Also share it with a friend. Share it on your social media if you can. Click that share button in Instagram. Maybe share a couple words on what you gained from an episode. Again, we'd just love for this to continue to keep growing. So really appreciate your support, your love, all that good stuff. And so thanks, guys. I'm going to shut up and go
for it. So the 4 small maritime provinces, they don't have an NHL team. So people cheer for what their parents maybe cheered for in Montreal or Toronto, which are the 2 closest teams. But then some people obviously are Ottawa fans, so they've migrated when that team came, or for whatever reason they pick a team that maybe a player from one of those provinces. Like I love the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby was from Nova Scotia. I was living in Nova Scotia. Halifax was a new city. He was the phenom, kind of from a suburb of that city. So you have a bunch of Pittsburgh fans in the Maritimes. You got a lot of French people working there, or families that were French in Quebec and then, moved around and ended up in Nova Scotia. So they're Habs fans, they're Montreal fans. You got a lot of people who are from the Maritimes and then went out to Toronto to work or whatever, because there's no work here. So they're Toronto fans, or their parents were from Ontario. So we're like a country with no home as far as like NHL is concerned.
So people around you, they're just vote. It's a mosh pit. They're just voting for people all over, just based on history.
It's not safe to wear a jersey anywhere necessarily. Well, no, I guess it is, because there's always going to be like, okay, if you're going to the bar and you're watching a hockey game, there's going to be 6 guys in Toronto jerseys. There's going to be 6 girls and guys in Habs jerseys. If they're playing each other, it'll be equal divide. If any game is on, there's always going to be a hub of people there. But yeah, there's not one central thing.
Interesting.
Like it is weird, and we pump out a lot of players per capita, and hockey are really entrenched in our DNA. But because we lack the population density, we lack this.
Don't have the pro team.
Yeah, we don't got the protein. We don't got the power for it.
So you said, who's the closest to you then, technically?
I guess it'd be Montreal. Is like 8 hours
Montreal. Okay.
West of here.
Oh wow. Okay, that's pretty far.
It is. Yeah. No. That's the thing. It's weird. It's orphan hockey over here. But everyone's still got a team. We figured that problem.
And then what's the so you have the AHL up there, or do you have another like sub?
We got the OHL, which is the Ontario Farm League. And then there's also like the QMJHA, or there's a Quebec league as well. And then we'll also play against some American farm teams and stuff like that. So there is minor league hockey here. And like there's the St. John Sea Dogs. There's local teams in that regard for sure. The Halifax Mooseheads. The Memorial Cup is like the big championship that all the Canadian minor league teams play for.
Gotcha.
Or that might just be an OHL thing. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of minor hockey here. There's a lot of farm teams.
All right, and then so you touched on it a little bit. So you're a big Penguins guy because of Crosby. It sounds like.
It was Crosby and Gary Roberts. So I'm from Ontario. So all my family. Well, my family's split because my family's from Quebec. So they're split Habs and Toronto fans. But we grew up in Toronto. They never get along.
That's tough.
They'll always drink together, but they'll never get along.
I want to be a fly on the wall when they drink together.
Yeah, it's funny, man. And then the French accents too get more and more like discernible to the English ear as the beers flow. It's great. Family reunions are fun. But so I was a Toronto fan growing up because I got to meet a bunch of the players and go to Toronto games. But, Toronto doesn't have the best record in the world. And I was really a basketball guy because my older brother was a hockey guy. So I tried to find my own thing, but you can't escape it.
No.
But anyways, I started when I went to college and got back into hockey because all my roommates were into hockey. They're all Toronto fans. Gary Roberts was like, the assistant captain and my favorite player, this awesome defenseman. And then he went over to Pittsburgh when I moved to Halifax, which is in Nova Scotia, which is where Sidney Crosby is from. Okay. And Sidney Crosby was in his rookie year, living with Lemieux in Pittsburgh, this phenom, future of the franchise. And Gary Roberts got traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I just got swept up in the maritime go Crosby thing. I had an extra reason because Gary Roberts, my favorite Leaf, which was really the only thing I was cheering for at that point on the Leafs because they were in a down spot, got pitched over there. And then Lemieux story, and they were living together. I was like, I love sleepovers. Like, this is my hockey narrative. And then they won a bunch of championships. So it was easy to just, stay on the Penguins side of things. So it's, again, divisive at the family reunion, but we all have a reason to cheer.
Oh, I love that. No, that was a good time when, Lemieux took Crosby under his wing and,
that was very cool.
Started and raising this little baby bird to fly. And
it was like a hockey novel, man. Like Mike Tyson didn't take in other boxers. Like Jordan's like, get out of here. Like, I'm taking on a ward, I'm not Batman. Like, this doesn't happen very often. So it was pretty cool. And like where he's from, Cole Harbor, Nova Scotia, like it's small town, man. We're talking like dipping your toes in the Atlantic, not much going on. You can get your pizza and your video rentals from the same store, but that's all there is until you go into the city kind of thing. Yeah. So to have him just be so talented and such a cool story attached to it. It was a really exciting time to be a hockey fan in the Maritimes. And the Mooseheads, the league that he played, or the minor league team that he played for, were doing well, and they always kind of show up. So it's healthy out here.
I'm gonna give you a couple rapid fire hockey questions real quick. We're talking active players only. Active. We're not going way back. Take McKinnon versus Austin Matthews.
I mean, probably Matthews, I guess, just because I've heard more of his narrative, because again, so many of my friends, that's the story they've been able to cling to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But if I'm being honest with you, and thank God for editing, I'm not the hockey guy. Like, I'll have an opinion on things, but I'm the same with the Super Bowl. Give me the story, give me the download, let me catch up, drop me in, and I'll enjoy it. But I don't spend my time we skate. Me and my wife love skating and playing hockey, but we don't watch any sports. Whatsoever. I live on Toronto highlights. And we watch the World Juniors around Christmas time. And that's about it.
Okay.
But it's just because we can't watch. We just don't know how people find the time to watch stuff.
it gets endless. It's endless. So who's a bigger deal up there? Is it like McDavid or Matthews? Who do you hear more?
Yeah. If you ask any kid, anyone under 15, it's McDavid.
Okay.
It is. It's McDavid. They don't care about who's closest. There's no with kids now, with music, with sports, with everything. There's no regionality. Yeah. There's no this whole I'm from here. I vote from here. I cheer from here.
It's out the window.
It's out the window. It's gone. So it's McDavid because it's the cooler story, right? Yeah. It's the bigger story. It's the Fortnite kind of thing. You know what I mean? Definitely. And now if I was at my buddy Nolan's house and I was talking to his kid, it would be Matthews. Because Nolan, his father, who regionality mattered to, influenced him heavily because they can also go there and be part of the games. But again, here where there isn't a regional team anyway,
it's just a mosh pit.
It's just exactly. Everyone's just thrashing around, man. Fist up.
Oh, dude, I love this. We could talk about this all day.
This is my favorite hockey podcast, actually.
This is great. I mean, I'm going to change directions. I'm going to call this the Hockey Rookie Podcast or something like that.
Well, I'm honored. I hope to represent the Canucks well.
We're going to go
en masse, not that team.
Go a different direction. Yeah.
No, I appreciate you having me on, man.
This is fun. Absolutely. Yeah. I just got back from Stick and Puck with my two boys. And so it's one of his the 8-year-old's birthday, and took him and the 5-year-old. And it's the first time the 5-year-old was on skates with a stick. And so he got suited up. It was a big day, and he did freaking awesome. It was
good,
so
man.
Yeah.
I remember my wife got me 3 or 4 Christmases ago, because she's an amazing hockey player, excellent ring-out player, goalie. She could skate not even circles. The shapes she can skate around, they don't have names yet. They're so elaborate. But she got me once for Christmas a set of my own hockey gloves. Because again, I was always playing basketball, and my brother spent time at the rink. But I always skated a lot. And, I always I said, I never had a pair of hockey gloves. And they're like the closest thing I can get to like Hulk mitts. I'm a comic book guy too. I'm like, I love hockey gloves. And she got me a beautiful pair. And then she got me a stick that year. And we lived by a park, like a 700 acre park that had a natural arena that they flooded, or a rink, sorry, that they flooded there. And it was awesome, man. So I'm glad that you got to have some stick and puck and ice time with the kids. And the first stick on ice day, that's a big day. It was
a monumental occasion. So it took lots of videos.
Cool. Winter's no fun if you don't use it, man.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. So are you any questions before we kind of jump into the official,
I think your outline podcast was pretty good. I think your questions are good. I hope my answers will be good. So
I'm sure.
Just let them rip. And I'm happy to talk about Inukshuk. It's what they pay me to do. So I'm here. Great. Yep.
That's great, man. Well,
cool. Your garage looks exactly like my garage growing up, by the way, too. It's kind of throwing me for a loop.
Is it?
Yeah. Even like the red tag over the automatic garage door opener and everything like that.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I remember trying to shoot that with a BB gun.
Oh, totally. Yeah, my kids try to hit that with a hockey puck.
There you go.
I'm like, stop it! You're gonna break a light. Oh, cool, man. Well, Brian, first off, tell me a little bit about yourself. Put us on a map. Where you're from, and just give us a short version of who is Brian.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Brian Conoley. I'm 40 years old this year. I just had my first kid, Linus, 12 weeks ago with my wife, Jenny, who's from Nova Scotia. I'm from Toronto.
Very recent. Congrats.
Thanks, man. It's going good. And I work for Corey Nutrition Company, Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. So I'm what they say as I come from away. I'm in the Maritimes, but I'm not from the Maritimes. I'm from away. But I've been living out here about a decade on the east coast of Canada, right above Maine. And I just fell in love with there's so much natural beauty out here. And I started actually just my career out east selling kayaks and tents and being a guide and kayaking and just enjoying the outdoors. And I worked for a local shop, which in turn, at a local family owned company, you got to be the manager, you got to be the floor staff, you got to be the buyer. So I kind of the marketer. So I got a lot of customer experience and guiding experience, and just, customer service was kind of like my professional specialty. I took journalism in high school or in college. Sorry. So, got good at telling stories and talking to people and interested in other people's stories. Applied that in the retail world, did pretty well with that. But, 10 years, 15 years, actually, I guess it was total of anything is a lot now. So I was looking for a change. And my friend, Emily Corey, who's the president of this company, her father, Lee, started it. They had this product, Inukshuk, which was really gaining ground, and they wanted to put some juice behind it and form like a more comprehensive team, not just sales team and logistics, but actual marketing and graphic design and a whole bunch of other aspects. And they offered me a position here to become a marketer. And, through my recreation and outdoor life, I got into canicross with my dog Ace. So, I was hooking up my mountain bike and hitting single track trails. I'm a big trail runner. He was out on the trails with me. I started a trail running group out here called the Fredericton Trail Runners. So there was an outdoor community, but I was feeding him this product Inukshuk that she was looking for a marketer for. And I was like, oh man, that dog food's that's like all the dog foods that compete in all these racing dogs. That was kind of the limit of my knowledge of performance dogs at that point. But they were all on Inukshuk, and they sponsored the events that we went to with our harness dog club. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'll look into that. And then, I got, it's a family owned company that's been family owned for 40 years and has been a big boon to the community. And, I was looking for a little bit of a change and a little bit of a challenge, and certainly approaching customers from within an office rather than a sales floor was completely different. But I already believed in the product and the offer was good. So I came aboard with these guys a couple of years ago, and we've just been building our flagship brand, Inukshuk, over here at Core Nutrition Company. And it's been going really well. So, I'm talking to hunters every day. I'm out in the woods with them, mushing teams, the people I get to interact with now, all these canine professionals, has just been a whole new world of client interaction. And it's been really fun to dive into.
Dude, that's awesome. What a way to kick things off.
Yeah.
I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned canine. Is it a canine cross?
Canine cross. So canicross. So that's it's a tethered harness dog sport. So my dog Ace, he's a German short hair pointer mixed with greyhound. They call them Greysters. And they're this European breed of racing dog because they're nothing but legs, lungs, and energy, right? A big GSP.
Sure.
So he's 80 pounds. Anyways, we were looking for a new dog. Our last dog had passed away, and I trail run a lot. And I had a friend who's like, oh, I know these people who do canicross, and they're looking to retire a dog after the dog's 6 or 7 and can't like be a peak performer anymore from these sled teams. It turned out they retire them. And I was like, what is all this? So it turns out that canicross is a human, the harness, and a bungee, and a dog in a harness, and you run. And it's single track, or it's on, like, you don't want to run on the road or gravel. It's usually like in the woods or on like crusher dust.
The dog is attached to your body.
Yeah. So it's like you got an engine. So Ace just like, my kilometers per hour, man, on the trail just went up. It was so much fun. Like going uphill was like you have an engine attached to you, and then you can put them on your mountain bike. You can put them on a kick sled, which is like a scooter for snow that you stand on and you can push on. Okay. Or if you have a dog like Ace, you hold on and he just gives her hell on these snowmobile groomed trails, and you just zoom through the woods in the wintertime.
Wow.
So these were all the kind of sports that were now available to us, because Ace was like a retired champion sled dog racer that just his skills transferred to canicross and mountain bike cross and all these kind of things. So tethered harness dog sports.
Nice.
Turns out they're pretty popular. There's a company in Quebec making harnesses and sleds and everything. A bunch of other Canadian companies selling and making the gear. And there's in the States now, if you Google it, there's a race in every state. There's a national club. There's territorial clubs. So that was just like, that was my into the performance dog food world through canicross. That's how Emily, I knew about the food. She's got 2 border collies that are, super high wired. Then we run together, and we run off leash too. But to have a dog pull you when you're on your feet like that, I equated to like playing Super Mario, and we were playing Super Mario and the levels, the thing, and you have to like keep jumping.
The side scrollers. Yeah.
Yeah. The side scrollers. Right. So trail running with a dog tethered to you is like that, because you jump and you get pulled in the air. Right. And if you stop or stumble, Ace is going to keep going at least for a bit. Right.
Yeah.
So it just added a whole new depth and dimension to trail running. And it was super, super fun. And I was able to just
that's super cool.
Yeah, turn that into a career, actually.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, last question before we go any further. As you're talking about like the harnesses and gear and stuff, do you have any recommendations on like harnesses or equipment to attach the tether to your bike? Because I do in the summer and in the spring, I do a lot of conditioning on my bike with my dog.
Yep.
And I just have like a pretty general
cord
harness.
Gets sucked in the wheel though, doesn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So do you have any recommendations?
Absolutely, man. So there's these arms that you attach to the down stem of or the down tube of your handlebars, and that extend out. So you take your harness, your bungee, and you clip it, and it's up 6 inches and out about 6 inches from your front tire.
A stiff material.
It's like a flexi. It's like a semi-rigid plastic. So like 2 pieces of plastic with a couple screws in them, so it can bend and turn a little bit, but it's rigid enough that it's going to hold it up, and it's not going to drag into your wheel well anymore and get caught in your.
Brilliant.
I'll send you. There's a couple companies. I'll send you a few links after we're done.
That'd be awesome.
You can see what they're at. It's so much fun having a dog pull you on a mountain bike, man. It's awesome.
Oh, I love it. It's been great conditioning, getting them ready for the fall. But knock on wood, I've not had a bad spill yet. But I know the day's coming, because that dang leash is going to get sucked up in that wheel. And
I did that a few times. I had this park again that I would, there's a loop in, and coming down though on crusher dust, there was a couple tight turns. And if you have good brakes and they know whoa, like make sure your dog knows whoa or the equivalent to it. But if you have that in good brakes and you slide it out, it's kind of like, when you're watching someone who knows how to fall on a motorbike, you can probably take most of it with the handlebars first. Maybe your elbow will get caught in a little bit. But it's not as bad as you think. Certainly not worth trying to go fast a couple of times, because the payoff of going fast is way worth the risk once you realize how to just slide into it. Totally. Maybe that's not the safest advice to give, but it's mine.
But it's yours. This is not endorsed by Inukshuk.
No. Or my mom.
Cool, man. We're going to start real basic here. Explain to us what is the meaning behind Inukshuk?
Yeah. So the Inukshuk itself, if you look at our logo, there's a statue of stacked rocks. That's an Inukshuk. And in Inuit culture, Inuk culture in Northern Canada, our First Nations people use those as like way markers. So, they'd be out in the Canadian tundra. They would maybe bury a food cache and stack an Inukshuk on top of it. So people who were coming across the country on sled dog or by foot or whatever, but oftentimes by sled dogs, would know to stop there. It would either point away or give some sort of totem of you're on the right track, or even be an actual marker. So, this is a sign of hope. It's a big sign of Canadian iconography. We're in the process of trying to come to terms and incorporate our First Nations history and our white European history to where we've gotten together. And, like you might have seen the Vancouver Olympics a few years ago, that was a totem on all the marketing for that too. It's just a big part of Canadian iconography. But our founder, Lee, first came up with the idea for making Inukshuk in our 3232 product because a dog sled, operator came to us with a problem, and turns out we were really well suited to solve it. And he was climbing actually in Peru. He was on top of Machu Picchu and he was looking around, and there was Inukshuks everywhere. That's the Canadian story to it, but it's a global totem. Since there's been people stacking rocks to kind of say, hey, we were here in this cool spot. Welcome to here. Good for you for making it here, right? So he was on top of Machu Picchu. He saw these Inukshuks, and he had already been tinkering with the formula, and the solution was already, or the problem was already presented with him about, these sled dog teams needed something cheaper and lighter than meat to do their job efficiently over long distances. In the modern world, there's got to be a solution. None of the dog foods out there were that solution at that time. So he kind of thought about it, stewed on it, and Inukshuk was kind of born there, so born in the wilds in northern Canada, and then kind of crystallized in top of South America. So it's kind of
that's cool. That's cool.
Story.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's awesome. People have been stacking rocks up forever.
As long as people have been people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love stacking them up. Yeah. So expand on that a little bit more as far as kind of what was this problem, that was brought to your founder, and did he already kind of have a dog food company in the works, or was this someone came to him with a problem and he created the dog food? What was that process? So
Corey Nutrition Company was actually founded as a commercial fish food company. So we're right by the Bay of Fundy and the Eastern Ocean. So there's a lot of fishing culture here. And with that comes fish farming culture, because a lot of fishermen on the boat are using fish as their bait, and there's industry here, right? So we were making really, really high end, high yield commercial fish food. And fish food, is unique because you're trying to suck a bunch of fat, oil into a product that then floats in the water. Oil and water naturally separate. And these fish farmers want, maximum output for as economical input as possible,
Sure.
for their food and their yield. So Corey Nutrition developed this vacuum infusion process where you suck the fat into the pellets or the flakes, whatever the fish food you're making is. And that way it'll behave properly in the water when you're feeding it to the fish. And if you suck that fat in there and keep that nutrition in there, well, then that fish is going to have a greater yield. And, the greater yield, the greater your success. And Lee, the founder of the company, made really, really great fish food. So there was and we had dabbled. So there's an off season, right? So you're making fish food for 7 months, 8 months of the year. And then there's an off season and you want to keep the plant going. So we started dabbling in pet and dog food and cat food. And, we were having some pretty good success with it. We weren't trying to really break the mold. We were trying to just kind of keep our engine going, making economical choices of locally made dog food and cat food with, fresh local ingredients. And we were doing pretty good at it. But then one day, a dog sledder came in and he was buying a ton of fish food. And you kind of know everyone around here within certain communities. The scale of things is a little bit smaller than a lot of the rest of the world, particularly our continent. So Lee, had the audacity to just ask this customer, why are you buying a pallet of fish food? You don't have a fish farm. We know everyone who has fish farms here. What are you doing with this food? And he was like, well, I feed it to my dogs, my sled dogs, because meat's so expensive and it's so heavy. No dog food will give them the calories. This stuff's full of fat, and I can feed it to them, mix it in with their food, and they get a lot more energy and they're able to perform a lot better when I need them to. So Lee goes, well, that makes sense. Shit, we can probably do better than make you fish food for your dog. We could probably make dog food like this, right? So the vacuum infusion process started getting incorporated into our dog food production process. And that did a couple things for us. That allowed us to make a really high protein, really high fat food. But the process of vacuum infusing it makes it a denser food, which means gum health and tooth health also increased because our mill was set up to make really a whole variety of different fish pellets and flakes and things like that. The hammer mill is really, really high end. We can grind the food down to a flour. So not only did we kind of stumble into making a really protein and fat rich food, we made a really highly digestible food through the same process. Most dog food companies start out as dog food companies. So they don't walk backwards into this vacuum infusion process. It's not really that much of a secret. Anyone could do it.
Sure.
We can't patent it, but our competition are these huge conglomerates where they're not nimble enough to like start vacuum infusing everything. They don't own their factories. They're taking time out of factories, and there's 20 of them across the country, and you got to be consistent. So if one can't do it, then, or if they all can't do it, then it doesn't matter if one can, right?
Right. So two questions. First one, so a vacuum infusion process. So explain that a little bit more. So you're sucking fat into the kibble. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Versus
Correct, yeah.
Sucking it out?
No, versus spraying it on.
Oh.
So most companies, they want their food to have fat. Fat is energy. Dogs access energy first. So particularly if you're making a performance focused dog food, it's going to have a probably high fat content. So typically the way people get fat on dog food is they spray it. And with the porous nature of the kibble, a certain amount will get absorbed into that dog food, and a certain amount will just kind of stay on top of the dog food. You've had greasy dog food in your hand.
Oh yeah.
That's a spray on dog food. Okay. You've had Inukshuk in the palm of your hand too. It's a lot drier.
Yeah.
That's because we're sucking the fat in, and those air pockets, the porous nature of the kibble is kind of getting changed because we're filling all those pockets up with fat.
Wow.
So there's a big vacuum infusion chamber. You can do like a ton or more at a time. You mix it around, you dump your fat in, and over not a very long period of time, but over a few minutes, you suck in some heat, you suck it all into the food, you cure it. And then you get this nice, dense kibble that's packed full of fat, but it's not like greasy or to the touch.
That is fascinating. And does that also go hand in hand with, so I noticed the other day I was pouring a bag of Inukshuk back into my food crate, and I noticed there was no like dust or no crumbs in the bag. And compared to other dog food brands, there's always like that, just dust, like the food dust.
Yeah. And sometimes the bottom fifth of your bag.
Yeah. There was none of that.
Dust,
there's none of that in there.
And no, you pretty much get your last scoop is very similar to your first scoop.
Yeah.
There's a couple things going on there. Yeah. The density of the food is one of them. But then another thing that's going on is we have an air valve on our bag that constantly expels any air in the bag as it develops. Heat and temperature changes can make the inside temperature of the bag change. So the amount of air in there will change, but that valve keeps expelling it. So that means that the bag is getting tighter and tighter, and almost like a slow motion vacuum seal, right? So less abrasion while it's in transit means that you're not going to get as much dusting and flaking, but also you're still going to get some though. And the abrasion has less of an effect on our food because it's a denser food. Again, because of that sucking in of the fat, and also the freshness has a big aspect to it too. Our food doesn't go to a distributor, sit in a distributor for X amount of months, then go to a big retail chain and then sit on a shelf for X amount of months. Our food typically goes from our warehouse weekly. We feed our warehouse in Maine, where we process all of our bulk US orders. So we're loading them up on the weekly basis. Here, we make runs as we need to, and we backstock a little bit and keep our warehouses across Canada full. But we're a lot smaller and a lot faster when it comes to turning our food over, because we're not making anyone else's. Well, we do make other people's food actually, but I mean, we're not making like 30 different brands of food. We're making 40 or 50 SKUs under our core nutrition company, but we can prioritize and respond to things a little bit quicker. So just the food being fresher means it's not degrading as much either.
Gotcha. Dude, that's awesome. All right. So talk a little bit more about, I guess, your customer base. I mean, it sounds like, did this all kind of start with the sled dog teams and that? And like, so right now, like, who's your customer base and how's it growing?
Right. So we're a Inukshuk professional dog food, and people go, what does professional mean? And what it means is we make food for dogs that are working, for dogs that are, valuable assets to many professions. It started with mushing teams. The genesis, the aha moment was a musher coming to us with the problem. Then we quickly realized that, I would say canine teams, units, and military applications were our second kind of concentric circle. If you think of it as, circles going out, nucleus right in the middle, mushing, next ring, canine military, next ring, hunting, ring after that, athletic and recreationally active dogs, competitive dogs, large breed dogs. But, so there's a lot of circles now, to be honest with you, and we have different formulas to adhere or address the different, community needs. But yeah, mushing was at the core. canine and military, because these high drive dogs that are training, that are driving around in cars anxious, that are having to use their nose. A big thing with our food that we found is a high fat, really easy to digest formula means the dog's body temperature is going to stay lower because it's working less hard to digest it, which means if it's a hot environment or if it's stressful environment, they're not going to be panting as much. So if they're not panting as much, it means they can use their nose more. So this was really important for police dogs where sniff detection or their nose was a valuable asset to what they're doing. But then also hunting. So our third biggest circle certainly is the hunting demographic. Dogs that, are running their guts out up and down, whatever the scenario is, or in a kennel and then a really quick burst of energy for a couple braces, and then back into the kennel. We've got food specifically formulated to make these dogs be able to really easily digest it, get all their calories in a nice, dense, complete, small meal. So you don't have to worry about them not having an appetite or not eating too much, and then keeping their body temperature down so their nose can do their thing. So that was huge. Then we made a formula. The 2616 was developed for puppies and breeders. Breeding programs are a huge part of our business because people want to send their dogs home and set up for success. So, consistency and food they can recommend, as much peace of mind that they can give to the client, and then also for themselves, knowing that the client has a good quality food that they can feed their dog for its life. People care so much about the dogs that they breed, has been a really big aspect of our business too over the last few years. And now we're kind of of the opinion, there's most dogs can benefit from Inukshuk between the 4 formulas for one reason or another.
That's awesome. We'll definitely want to get into the 4 formulas a little bit more here, but just thinking through, over the past maybe 2 years, even just talk a little bit more, about your distribution model and have you guys faced any challenges with supply or shipping or anything issues like that? And also talk a little bit about the wholesale avenue that you guys have.
Sure. Yeah. So we definitely have challenges. Supply chain challenges are everywhere right now. We are lucky because our supply chain is much smaller and easier to manage and easier to maintain consistency than some of the brands right now. So the big thing that's different about Inukshuk as far as how to get it and how we distribute it is that we are a wholesale direct product. So we've made a commitment not to go into your big box stores or give local distribution rights to any one entity, because what happens there is you get forced into a retail world where there's more markups, which means the bag of food is going to be higher. It means you lose control of who gets what. So if there's a kennel or a breeder or someone who needs a half a pallet, they have to go to a store now, and the store is less inclined to give you a deal. Or if you're not at that finger quotes pro status, maybe some of the bigger companies aren't going to give you that pro deal that you think you deserve or need. So all of a sudden getting lots of food in the amounts that you need is a big challenge. And to have it remain consistent if you are feeding it and not see a big change in it is also a challenge. So we sell wholesale direct. We sell pallets of dog food is really our business model. And we're trying to grow our trusted reseller chain, kennels, breeders, locally owned stores, feed stores. We'll sell to retail operations, just not big box that has a distributorship or a contract that's got a whole bunch of stuff we don't want to sign in it.
Gotcha. So you would do the local small, maybe they have 3 or 4 store mom and pop feed store or a outdoor store, things like that.
Yep. If we can sell direct to them, we're in. And so, we say for prices, we have a wholesale price list. Anyone can buy a Inukshuk at the wholesale prices. We have minimum orders. Everyone pays the same price. It's across the board. Doesn't matter if you're ordering 50,000 tons a year or 5 tons a year. Everyone pays the same price. As far as markups go, we encourage everyone to, kind of beat the online prices out there. Or if you see it for somewhere more expensive somewhere else and you know what you're paying for it, make what you think is fair off of it. And it kind of self-regulates that way. Basically, we say,
so the people buying the wholesale, so they buy a pallet, they can then decide what to sell it for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Maybe they're selling it to their friends and their families and their neighbors, and all they want to do is make $10 a bag to make up for their time organizing it, and everyone gets a great deal. No problem. Yeah. Maybe they're going to sell it for the exact same price they're buying it, and people are just getting bulk orders together, right?
Yeah.
Some people who resell it, they have a big operation. There's different overhead. They know what it sells for online or what the competitors equal brand would be in a retail environment. So they try to beat that price by a little bit, and they know what the food is worth, right? So there's a variety of scenarios, which means it's not typical and it's a little maybe confusing to navigate, but it can be broken down pretty simply. Essentially, if there's a trusted Inukshuk reseller in your area, go to them first. There's a map on our website. They're listed there. They're going to have the best prices. They're going to be a person like yourself or myself who knows about the food, is invested in dogs in some capacity, whether it's training or breeding or grooming or whatever. And they're just going to be a valuable community member to have and to support. Or if there's no reseller in your area, no problem. In Canada, buy it off our website. In the States, buy it off Chewy. Those prices are the most expensive prices because they incorporate shipping that food into their price. And shipping dog food's heavy, so it costs a lot. So Chewy doesn't charge anything for shipping, so it costs a bit more. But it's there in like 72 hours and they didn't charge you shipping. So it's a pretty good deal. Sure. Our website is kind of the same. Most of Canada is free shipping. The maximum is like $10 or $15 per bag. And we're talking for like rural areas. So it's competitive. So we can get a bag of Inukshuk to any address in North America right now, whether you buy half a pallet, a full pallet, or a couple bags at a time. It's just a matter of where.
So if you're in the US, if you're in the US, can they buy directly from Inukshuk's website? Or you would go
no,
through Chewy?
Our e-store is just for Canadian household orders. So what they can do though is hop on our website, click order here, click on the option for bulk sales. They can either fill out a form and we get that form as an email. We see all their information. You get put in a queue. We call you, see what your opening order is, get you a shipping quote, off it goes. Or you just call the 1-800 number and say, hey, I'm a kennel in Illinois. I was thinking about buying a pallet of food. Didn't know what formulas. We have a conversation with you. All of our prices in the US are like our price lists are shipping and taxes included. So the only thing that we have to consider is like a lift gate charge because it comes on a pallet from a less than truckload courier, typically like a truck. So the truck, if they have to unload it with a forklift and an employee, there's a charge for that. Gotcha. Yeah. And it varies a little bit. So we always like see who's going to service your area, see what they charge, incorporate that charge onto the bill, give you the quote. If you like that and you know it's okay, then you pay us the money.
Perfect. Hey, I have to cut us off real quick. My Zoom is running out on time.
Oh, okay.
So I have to start. No, you're good. I'm going to end this meeting, save it, and then start. I'll send you a new link.
Okay.
All right. Just give me like 2 minutes.
No worries.
All right. Here. And we'll kind of just finish up talking about distribution and all that good stuff. And then just a few more things and we'll go from there. Sure.
Yeah. So I think what I was just kind of trying to circle around to was that, you can get Inukshuk no matter where you're at. It's either through Chewy or our website or a trusted reseller, and anyone who buys it can resell it. Everyone pays the same price. And if you want to know what those details are, just call us, email us, get us on Facebook. We'll get you all the information and, get you hooked up. But we really want to get it in as many dog bowls as possible because it is a really great formula. We think a lot of dogs can benefit from it. It's a huge market out there. And we know that a lot of other brands are having problems with consistency and formulation integrity because their supply chains are so huge. Yeah. So,
well, that was one of the things I wanted to touch on is because you're manufacturing everything in one plant, right? So is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So, we have one facility.
Okay. So, does that really just help your quality control and like perfecting that product and keeping it consistent?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things that does, more oversight. You're responsible for everything too. So there's more ownership of your mistakes and your successes as well, which I think is a good model for, a locally owned, family owned business, as opposed to like a publicly traded business to operate on. You get more investment. But then, you have a lot more oversight is the big thing. So, we don't have to worry about, is that other factory that we're not overseeing cleaning all of the tools and all of the chutes and everything like that in between formulas? What other formulas are they making? Is there going to be more cross-contamination for other things that we should consider? How do we get all that testing and that information? You lose a lot of control if you're not making it, yourself. And then also with our scale, it's easier for us to keep a regular stock of our ingredients. So we don't have to have things vary or swap out or go too far away for our ingredients, because freshness, for us is a big boon that we can offer that a lot of other brands can't. So yeah,
cool.
Everywhere from scale to oversight, it's just, it's, you see it all. And the direct way that we sell with our customers and talk with our customers, people are buying from us. Almost, we talk to almost all of our, I think it's over 3,000 clients now. So, we have this new formula Marine 25 that was a direct response to, interacting with our audience base. Like we weren't planning on making that until we realized that there was a significant enough need for us to try it and see how it goes. So, it's been working. So we're lucky that I always say, we're not big, we're small, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Until we need to grow. But, we just built a new wing on our warehouse, and like, we're looking to automate some things, and like, we have growth in mind, and we want to grow, but growing sustainably, growing at the pace that you can, keep up your quality, really matters to us. Cause the second the formula suffers for any growth or anything, this is a credibility world.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely
is. Everybody talks to each other. You can't hide behind anything. You can't hide behind your dog's asshole if it's spouting out loose poops. Like you just there's no getting away from it. So results are very clear. So it's we like the way that we're able to operate right now.
I really wish I could make the title of this episode that quote you just said.
You have my permission.
Okay. Oh, that's so true. So true, though. All right. Before we get into the 4 different formulas and unpack those a little bit more, talk about the feeding less kind of mindset. And you guys talk a little bit about it. I know you guys have this new like feeding calculator on your website, which I was just playing around with, which is actually pretty cool. Talk about that kind of like mindset. And was that a goal from the beginning of this food being created? Was making that high calorie food? Like how did that? Well,
it was right away a reaction to the nature of the formula. 3232 has 720 kcals per cup. So if you're a sled dog and you're, running a big race, that's great for a lot of reasons. But if you're not, what that means is you're going to have a lot smaller meals and still get all the calories that you need. Right. So this whole feed less thing. Well, first of all, a lot of our operators are kennel operators. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, dog stomachs are only so big. They can only process so much at a time. So if you can pack a smaller meal with more nutrition into their stomach, and they can process and digest and absorb and use way more of that than something that's got a lot of fillers, or you need to pump twice as much into the dog to get the same amount of calories into, well, you're going to have again, we talk a lot of shit here at Inukshuk. You're going to have a lot less mess to clean up. You're going to have to feed a lot less, which means your value per bag goes up. And if you have 20 dogs or a big kennel, value matters, economics matter. So this whole feed less thing was benefits that we walked into just because of the nature of the formula. It had to be high fat and high protein and high calorie to do what it needed to do.
Sure.
A result of that is you don't need to feed nearly as much of it. On the average, you're going to feed 20 to 30% less when switching over to Inukshuk.
Wow.
And there's, like I said, whether it's poop or the wallet or performance or the dog's digestion ease, there's a whole lot of reasons why that's a great benefit to have.
That's a huge number. That's a huge
and
number.
It's going to vary. There's a lot of dog foods out there. So, what you can do is just like we put the calories and the feeding guidelines on our website on the back of each bag, compare it to any formula and just see, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe it'll be 15% and there's a really good food, but is that food 90% digestible? Like there's other factors involved. So like when it comes to an energy game, and especially with the hunting crowd and to bring things, I mean, I've been talking for an hour now about dog food, and I'm not sure how much your hunting audience is interested, but to make them interested, this means that a dog is going to be, on the hunt with its nose in top gear, with its body temperature down, with a belly full of food, and not going to have to shit in the kennel or 5 times in the woods. Like these are all things that are going to add to the enjoyment of your day and their day. And when you start to see that in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 dogs over, it's just awesome.
I like that you said the economic impact as well, because if as much as people don't want to admit it, like, people have families and dogs to take care of and all this stuff, and like price and value matter too.
It always matters. It's always top of people's.
Exactly. And so I think that concept, it can get overlooked sometimes. People, again, other side of the spectrum, some people go, I'll just buy the most expensive dog food because that's probably what's best. And they go that route. But no, like let's get the best bang for our bucks, stretch that bag as much as we can. And
sometimes our prices hurt us because they're counterintuitive. People see that it's a lower price compared to the competition, maybe in a retail environment, and they go, well, that can't be as good if they're charging $30 less. It's like, no, you're buying it right from us. We don't have to mark it up several times. And there's not as many people that need to make a buck off of it. And then you add the value fact that you're going to feed less of it and have like my 80-pound dog goes through a 33-pound bag of food in 5 weeks. And it sells for a Canadian retail price of about $55, $60. That's a pretty good value.
Yeah.
A little bit less in the States kind of thing. So that story, everyone cares about value. And if you're a kennel operator and you have lots of dogs and it's probably a passion project, it's not the only thing that you have to put time and energy and money into, it's a real boon. So that we've had a lot of success with the kennel and the wholesale program for that reason, because obviously the more you buy, the more you save kind of thing. So, when you go down the line to a single bag purchase, maybe the value and the savings and the differences aren't as great a number on a spreadsheet compared to someone who's got 20 dogs to feed. But no matter how you cut it out, it's a great value. And that wholesale direct thing is what allows us to keep offering that value.
Absolutely.
And, we'll raise the price before we'll ever change the formula. We've had a couple of price increases in the past. It's a reality. Gas is more expensive. Ingredients are more expensive. Labor is more expensive.
Sure.
The food is going to maybe get a little bit more expensive, but the formula is not going to change. And, we'll tell you that we're changing it and we're going to say sorry, but most people say, well, thanks for not changing it. So just so people know, we don't know what the future looks like, but sustainability and formulation integrity are the things that we're worried about. So hopefully you'll be able to stick with us through it, and prices will go down. I don't know if gas prices will ever go down.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I just want to touch on that feeding calculator too on the website. That's a pretty cool tool. If people do want to compare or just kind of get a gauge of, hey, what they could feed and how many calories they're getting per cup. That was a really cool,
just plug in the weight of your dog and the formula that you want to feed them. And then it'll tell you how long a bag should last on average. And in Canada, there's a subscription service with a bunch of options. In the States, I think Chewy might have or Dog Food Direct in some places might have like a re-up option, but at least it'll let you know how long a bag's going to last you so you can work it out dollar wise, what you're paying per pound or per cup or whatever.
Absolutely. All right. We've been dancing around the 4 different formulas a little bit. Let's talk about those and like who are each of these formulas in your mind kind of generally for, and let's unpack those a little bit.
Yeah. This is a question that comes up a lot. When people find out about us, that's the first kind of thing they want to know is, well, which one's right for my dog? So in a nutshell, we have 4 formulas. We'll start at the top, our Rocket Fuel, our 3232. This is a food for your high drive dog. For your working dog, for your high output dog, for your hard keepers, your dogs that live outside and work outside all day, maybe in cold environments. It's on the extreme side of things. Most recreational household pets won't need 3232, but for those that do, it works well. It puts pounds on, it's still highly digestible, and it's a great formula. So like Malinois, working line German Shepherds, mushing dogs of all nature, hard keeping hunting dogs, large breed dogs that can't keep weight on, 3232 is great. Picky eaters that just won't eat a lot. Like maybe you got a weirdo border collie that just doesn't care about food. Well, 3232 at 720 calories per cup, you get more in them for less feeding. So, there's a few scenarios. 3025 is your recreationally active dog. So like my dog Ace is a good example. He was a sled dog. He raced on the weekends recreationally. Races were about an hour, 2 hours, but that would include a lot of hiking and running and training in his daily life. So the 3025 was a great formula for him. Larger breed dogs, again, you don't have to feed 6 cups to keep your Bernese or your Irish Wolfhound fed. You can feed them 2 or 3 cups of Inukshuk and it's enough. Border collies, German Shepherds, anyone doing Canicross or Schutzhund or IGP hunting, 3025 is your active dog with a pretty wide range of who's going to benefit from it. It's an all life stage formula as well. Some people will feed 3025 out of the gates, which is safe, but because our food is so dense, you really need to follow the feeding guidelines if you're feeding puppies it. We don't want puppies to get too much calcium in the early stages of life, or you don't want loose stools or having their body to do more work than it needs to. They're before their bones are fully formed, they're not supposed to exercise to any intensity, really. Sure. So, they probably don't need everything that 3025 provides unless they're large breed or can't keep weight on or a picky eater or there's another extenuating circumstance, or you just know how to feed it properly.
Okay.
2616 is for whelping mothers and most puppies up until about a year. If it's a high drive or large breed dog, we say, maybe 2616 for the first 3, 4, 5 months. And then at 6, 7 months, they can switch over to 3025 once their bones are done growing. Okay. But, smaller hunting dogs like Brittany's do great on 2616 their whole life. During hunting season, you'll just feed them a little bit more. During the off season, you'll taper it off a little bit. Terriers, boxers, bulldogs, so many dogs can benefit. So it's more high fat and more high protein than almost all the competition on the market. That's not a performance dog food, so it might be seemingly a little rich to some people, But because it's an AFCO approved all life stage formula with a feeding guideline, you can just feed that dog that natural weight. And it's not like we're putting like tons of caffeine or stimulants in this food. We don't mean energetic that way. We just mean nutrition, like when you're hungry and you're bonking out on a run or a hike and you get something in you, your energy comes back up because it's food, not necessarily because it's like, a coffee. So sometimes people are like, I don't really have a high energy dog. Should I feed them this food? Yeah, just feed them 26-16 to what their weight's supposed to be. And if they're putting on a few pounds, just scale it back a bit. But it's not like you're going to be jumping off the walls and your lazy bulldogs all of a sudden going to be on your roof or anything like that, right?
Right. And real quick, before we move on to the last one. So 26-16, you said whelping mothers and puppies could both be on that, right? Yeah.
So there's a few things in the 26-16 that we've designed in mind with this scenario. So calcium levels when the bones are growing, you don't actually want to give them too much calcium because if their bones grow at a larger rate than they're supposed to, it can lead to joint issues or dysplasia issues down the line. And also, the milk that they get from their mother is going to have certain things in it that you want to accommodate for. And our vitamin pack is scaled down a little bit with the assumption that a lot of younger dogs are going to be on this who don't need a vitamin pack that a fully grown active dog needs. So we've tweaked that formula to be a little less lower octane kind of thing. Okay. And the vitamin pack and the calcium levels specifically with lower protein, you get lower calcium, which is safer for dogs that have been, just off their mother's teat or young kind of thing and still growing.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Good to know. Cause I have Win here. I won't breed her for another couple of years, but curious on that for her as well. So
yeah. And even high drive dogs that are pregnant do great on 26-16. You might just have to feed them a little bit more, but it's a great formula for that. And there's some literature and information on the back of the bag that addresses that as well.
Awesome. All right. And then the last formula is your newest one, right? You just came out with this pretty recently.
Marine 25. Yeah. We launched in November 2021. So, we're about, I guess, 6 months almost away from launching it now. Okay. Barriers of entry. We realized that between our 3 formulas, a lot of people could benefit from Inukshuk, but there was a couple conversations that kept popping up. My dog is allergic to chicken or sensitive to chicken. My dog is allergic to corn or sensitive to corn or wheat. In kind of that order, as far as ascending frequency goes. Chicken was the big thing. Chicken is an affordable protein, so it ends up in some pretty affordable dog foods, and affordable is a big euphemism right here. Some pretty cheap dog foods. So instead of the sum of all those parts getting blamed, like, that's a crappy formula for these reasons, you go to the first ingredient, it's there in the most, it must be the biggest offender. So chicken must be the problem. Chicken is a really accessible and easily to digest protein for most dogs. Now you can get chicken nuggets and you can get whole grain, grass fed, organic boutique chicken. There's a variety of chicken. There's gonna be a difference, right? Yeah. So keep that in mind. And then also, if this is going to be an Econo brand, they're probably not going to get the top shelf chicken either, right? So in the dog food world, chicken has this reputation that, in our opinion, is a little bit worse than it deserves. Because we've had a lot of dogs that have switched over from one formula to our formulas with the person saying, my dog's sensitive to chicken and they won't do well in this. And we say, just trust us and try it. And we watch problems disappear because of the high amounts of herring oil and herring meal in the food and the chicken fat. We have great omega-3, 6, and 9 profiles. So skin coat problems disappear, right? Yeah. Not all the time. Some dogs have other problems, but a lot of the time. But it takes a lot of energy to explain that to everybody or to gain that trust with everybody, and time is money. And then there are those dogs that are allergic or sensitive to chicken or corn or wheat or soy. So we said, okay, we're probably at the point now where we can make a formula that just swaps out those ingredients for other ingredients. We don't compromise performance. We don't compromise quality, and we don't have to, require so much trust of them up front. They can just try this product and let it work well for them, and they've got that peace of mind. For dogs with really dry skin or joint issues, the extra amount of fish oil because of the 3 fish protein source in the Marine 25, whitefish, salmon, and herring, it really is like a kick-ass awesome formula for solving those problems.
Yeah, I was going to ask what kind of fish you're using. Wow,
Yeah. So the herring, we got the Bay of Fundy right in our backyard, big old body of water, world's highest tides. It's crazy. Go to New Brunswick, everybody. It's beautiful. And I'm from Canada and didn't even know how beautiful it was for the first 25 years of my life. But anyways, tons of fishing out of the Bay of Fundy. So our herring is wild caught and our whitefish is wild caught. There is no salmon for commercial use available on the East Coast anymore. All of our rivers are drying up from salmon. So we have a sustainably farmed salmon source from the Maritimes as well. Your other option to get salmon in your food is going from the West Coast, which means I have to go fishing in Vancouver and then have to come across the country just to get into my fish food.
Gotcha.
For us, it makes more sense to just get that sustainably sourced salmon.
Sure.
So that's what the Marine's made out of. I put Ace on it, who's usually eats 30-25, and I put him on Marine 25 for a couple months as we were getting ready to launch it. And he already had an amazing coat, but it's like this dog was waking up and taking conditioner baths every day. Like it was so soft and shiny. Like he looked greasy almost. Like it was quite the difference.
Wow.
So it's a great formula. It's selling really, really, really well. I encourage people usually when I'm talking about it, say, try 30-25 first. And if the problems that you're talking about don't evaporate, or that you have a confirmed allergy, then this food is here for you. But maybe they're going to do great on the 30-25 because it was enough for a lot of people before we had that no chicken, no corn option kind of thing.
Sure. And just to confirm, there's no corn in the Marine 25, right?
That's correct.
Okay. No corn.
There's no corn, wheat, none of our products have soy, but we said no soy on that as well, because those are kind of the 4 big offenders that people are sometimes looking for the absence of. Okay. Now, just real quick to talk about corn and chicken, they have bad reputations. But whole grain corn, when processed properly, is really digestible for dogs. When it's used to back up a protein source, it's not good. When it's used as a carbohydrate or an energy source, the way that we use it, it can be really good. We have some articles on our website, on our blog about this that address that. But, corn is on that controversial list. And again, there's a little bit more depth and context than that statement really kind of,
Totally. That's a couple of people have reached out to me and just, they're looking into it and they're like, oh, it's got corn in it. And I'm just like, what do you have against corn? And again, I don't know enough about corn even myself. I know some people have strong opinions or feelings about it.
Real quick, I'll tell you why people don't like corn. So we say that we use chicken meal, and some people think meal is a bad word. They think meal is less than or bad quality. Meal just means it's been cooked and all the moisture has been removed out of it. And now we have an ingredient to incorporate into our recipe that is measurable and much more accurate for the amount of protein it's going to deliver, right? So some companies will say like 50% chicken meat. They're going to cook that meat. It's going to be about 80% moisture. So you're not left with 50% of that formula being chicken meat. You're left with like, a fraction of what that 50% was, but you still have a protein claim to uphold X amount of protein in your formula. So what people do then is they'll use corn to back up and fortify their chicken meat. If they had used chicken meal and said 50% chicken meal, you wouldn't need to put corn as a second ingredient and back it up and fortify it because you got so much protein in there already, right? So when corn is used to substitute or back up a protein claim, because they don't want to use the word meal on their marketing because meal has a bad connotation. If corn is a second ingredient in that nature, it's probably not a great formula. Gotcha. Or it's not a great formula for a lot of the scenarios and customers who are purchasing our program. Or our food, sorry. When you knock it down the ingredient list and you're putting it in much smaller amounts to be used as a carbohydrate, energy, fat source, initially as a dog's engine is revving up, and then they use their chicken and their herring and their protein for muscle maintenance and endurance in the long run, then corn's no problem. And we use whole grain corn, not corn syrup or like a corn syrup equivalent. Big difference there.
Gotcha.
Whole grain ground corn. So it's dogs do well.
So you're getting the whole grain and in your factory, you're grinding it down to that. Okay.
Correct.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Talk about transitioning dogs from one of your formulas to another. So within the Inukshuk line. Again, my own personal plan is like hunting season, or like, let's say from September to at the end of trial season, like March, I'll have them on 30-25. And then kind of that summertime, move them to the 26-16. How easily can you transition dogs formula? Like, is there a long time that we have to overlap?
No. Very interchangeable ingredient decks, very similar makeups. It's just a protein and fat mainly that vary. So some people like, is it better to mix? You can mix, but then you got to do more math because it's all based off of calories per day in a feeding recommendation. So, 30-25 and 26-16, a cup weighs different and a cup contains different amount of calories. So to mix them, again, more math.
Yeah.
So we just recommend either bumping them up to a formula so you can feed less and you don't have to feed too much. Like say you're on the upper threshold of 26-16 in the off season, you don't want to feed much more than that because again, the dog can only process so much. So bumping them up to 30-25 is great. Nice, small, compact meal. They still get everything they need. And you just go off the feeding guideline on the back of the bag for the dog's weight. You don't even have to do it over a course of X amount of days. Just do it and the dog will be fine. Some dogs have sensitive stomachs. And if that's the case, feel free to maybe incorporate a quarter or a third of the higher formula each day. And over the course of 3 or 4 days, you can transition. But most people who have lots of dogs who are in the scenario that you described, it's go time, it's hunting season. They just switch them over for those X amount of months and then they switch them back.
That's awesome.
So
man.
ingredient decks are meant to kind of be toggled and slid around kind of thing.
Okay. That's great. Well, cool, Brian. Dude, this has been so much fun. It's been very, informative for me as well. Just learning more about Inukshuk and your product and a little bit more about the company as a whole. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the questions and the opportunity. And I hope your audience gets something out of it. And we know it's kind of a confusing world, the dog food world. It's a younger market compared to others. There's less research out there that's been vetted and peer reviewed, and there's a lot of claims and there's a whole lot of marketing nonsense. I'm a marketer. I know we're not the best. So we really appreciate these opportunities to come on and just, we try to be as transparent as possible. We try to lay it all on the table, let the food do the talking. And whenever we're given these kind of opportunities, it usually is great for us. So I appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely. And you guys have a podcast of your own, don't you? That's been going still?
Yeah. We just released episode 11 today of the Inukshuk Pro podcast. So this was kind of just a way for us to kind of create some meaningful engagement. We love our clients so much. So many of them have so many cool stories and cool operations and amazing day-to-day lives. Like the last person I was speaking with, Lee Bianco, she's a retired stunt woman who does Schutzen and IGP, protection competitions with German Shepherds and Dutch Shepherds and Malinois, and, awesome story, whole cool sport I never knew about before working here. So we had her on the podcast. We'll talk to diabetic alert dog trainers or a lot of hunting trainers, dog psychologists, retired police officers. So it's all about working dogs and trying to showcase all the different things and all the different jobs and roles that dogs have in our society, and the people who spend their time, getting to understand them, train them, and help grow their ability to make the world a better place. I mean, more dogs, the better, right?
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
working dogs, the better. I would be much happier if a dog picked me up in a cab or, took my airport ticket.
Life would just be better.
Exactly. So yeah, it's the Inukshuk Pro podcast. It's on like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and most of the places you can find podcasts, or our website. It's got its own website. It's very easy to find.
Fantastic. And then Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Inukshuk Pro.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. We're not that involved in the Twitter world, but we do tweet every now and again. You can find us, just search Inukshuk dog food or professional dog food in any of the formats. But we're pretty active in Facebook and Instagram for sure.
Do people still use Twitter?
Yeah, they do, man.
Do they? Oh man, I gave it up a while.
I don't know if using it. People are on it. I mean, using it implies that they're accomplishing something. So, there's an argument to be had there.
Fair enough. Well, cool, man. This has been so much fun. Thank you again for your time and knowledge and just sharing more about Inukshuk. I really appreciated it. So,
my pleasure, man. All the best to you and yours and your little hockey team there.
Oh yeah.
Keep your stick on the ice and all that good stuff.
For sure, man. For sure. Congrats on the little one, and try to get some sleep. All right.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it, man.
Take care.
See ya.
That's a wrap of episode 37. Thank you so much to Brian. Really appreciate your insight, conversation around dog food and what you guys got going on over at Corey Nutrition and Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Really appreciate your support. Hey guys, don't forget, rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please. Hey, got some great episodes here coming out in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribing to the show. Make sure you're getting all the latest episodes coming your way. Hey guys, don't forget, if you are not lucky enough to hunt with or own a Brittany, any bird dog is better than no bird dog. Go put some miles on those boots and have fun.